Live from the spectacular Garden Roots in South Africa. We're streaming worldwide on eRadioSA.com.
And it's time for Travel Tuesday with Rose. I wonder where she's taking us on this Freedom Day. Something to do with Cape Agulhas, I think. Rose, hello.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm fantastic on this Freedom Day. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. We've been waiting for some wind, but doesn't come.
Oh, you want to go up in the air?
I was hoping there would be a chance to actually have some flying today, but no, none of that's going to happen.
Oh, no, not today. Last night we had that hectic mist again. I promise you, the whole Knysna was gone. Looking out the window, it was like the building was up in the air and we were floating in the clouds. It was pretty strange.
Yeah, I think the oceans have been very cold lately and a lot of upwelling.
Yeah.
And because of our microclimate system, so we've been having a lot of misty days.
Yeah, exceptional.
It does seem like so.
Yeah, and I actually saw an explanation by Garth Sampson of the SA Weather Service. He called it something fog. What was it now? I can't remember the word. Something with an A. Admotion fog, advection fog. I have to double check. Something like that. Let's just say fog.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically when the hot day and the cold day connects. We got too much of outsourcing done, yeah.
Where are you today, Rose?
Too much cold.
Yeah.
I'm actually sitting at the Waves Cafe in Wilderness, which is close to the Views Hotel. Yeah, so I'm sitting here today.
It sounds nice and chilled. Yeah. Where are you?
So today we're talking.
Sorry, we have a bit of a delay there, it would seem. Where are you? Let's just sync again. Where are you taking us today? Cape Agulhas. You recently had a trip to Cape Agulhas.
Yeah, well, I've had an invitation to go. Been invited by George Tourism. Joan Shaw asked me what they do is basically, as a tourism destination, they invite other tourism destinations, and they do across marketing thing. We'll show you our place, you show us our place.
Oh, like
an educational kind of thing.
I like that.
And then Joan asked me if I wanted to accompany them as a garden and travel blogger. So I said, yes, I'd love to. I haven't done an educational trip for a long time. So it's been, I quite look forward to it. And I ended up going through with tourism, with Knysna Tourism, and with Tozzy, and the two of us drove to Overberg, and we met up with the other people there. So basically it was George Tourism and Knysna Tourism was there, and also Mossel Bay Tourism, and then the girls from Masanzi. So it was really nice, a nice group of girls and a couple of gentlemen. And it was, so basically what they did is they've showed us their area. So we covered the town of Bredasdorp, and we covered Napier, Arniston, and Cape Agulhas Point. And and it was amazing. So a little bit about a couple of the towns. Let's just do that. So Bredasdorp is a very interesting little town because it's got one of the biggest or the most informative shipwreck museums in the country. And of course, that part of the world is known for shipwrecks. So many. I mean, they've from the 1800s to now. I think the last shipwreck was in 1982, and you can actually still see the ship on the rocks there at Agulhas.
Wow.
So if you go to Bredasdorp, there's a couple of things in Bredasdorp that are really, really, really nice, and that is definitely the Shipwreck Museum, and then they got Kapula Candles, and Kapula Candles is one of those. It's this huge factory, and they make all these beautiful scented candles. So if you are going towards Arniston or Struisbaai or one of those places, please do yourself a big favor, and actually stop at Kapula Candles and go visit that Shipwreck Museum. It's really, really fascinating. Then we went to the little town of Napier, which Napier is actually a little bit out of town towards Caledon. on that road.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It was an adjacent farm. So I was reading really interesting story. There was two families from the Badars, and I've forgotten the other family's name, but they basically they were fighting about where they were going to build the church, and then one family decided they're going to build a church in Badar, and the other decided they're going to build a church in Napier. So that's why there's these two little towns, and they're divided kind of separately.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Napier is just yeah. So just a little outside of Badar, so we find a little town of Napier. Napier has become like this tiny little artistic, creative little town. I mean, you drive through and you go, not much goes on here, but they have some of the best food, and they have some of the most creative people there. We visited a lady who has Muddy Lane. She does ceramics, throws clay and stuff like that. So they've moved from the Eastern Cape. They moved there, and she started throwing clay there. So she creates all these beautiful clay works. And then we went to All Sorts, which is Leon Visser, and he makes those beautiful molded chess sets. And I think he's been covered quite a few times. And about, those beautiful chess sets. All these chess pieces are little figures of old army uniforms and, knights and things like that. So it's really, really gorgeous to watch. And he also has one of the biggest military museums in South Africa. And I say biggest. When I'm saying biggest, I'm talking about the amount of stuff that he has that it covers. Uniforms, paraphernalia, history, that kind of thing. And he's fascinating. He can keep you busy for hours. So definitely a place to stop in is All Sorts in Napier. And of course, then you can see the church, and they've got a few little restaurants. They've got a beautiful gallery there. Artist gallery, and I went and I actually popped into another little place. A young lady called Renee. And what she does, she makes these glass shades where she cuts the glass. And I never knew how much work goes into those things. The design, the planning, the cutting of the glass, the putting the copper in, the soldering. I was completely blown away. I looked at her and I was like, oh my soul, I hope you charge a fortune for these things.
Yeah.
They're really, really intricate.
Sure.
Yeah, and then we had lunch at one of the place, Café Noir. Beautiful settings. I mean, it's really like a little bit of, it reminds me a little bit of between like a Berrydale kind of thing, that kind of little vibe. So
yeah,
if you are traveling into the Southern Cape or, that kind of the Overberg area, do yourself a favor and definitely stop at Napier and really spend some time there. There's some gorgeous little places.
Rose,
just take a walk down the road.
Tell me, is Napier more or less the same size as Sedgefield, or is it even smaller?
Oh, I think it's smaller.
Yeah, is it like Karatra size? I'm just wondering, how big is that? Is it like one? Does it have one set of traffic lights like Sedgefield?
Say, do you know?
Or don't have any
traffic lights. Doesn't even have a stop street.
You never stop. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. No, you don't. It's just a drive-through road. No, literally, it's tiny. Karatra is different. Where this, it reminds me a little bit of the feast on. No, like reminds me a little bit of a smaller Berrydale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, interesting. Interesting.
But very much a farmers community.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, did you know? So very interesting, that other story that I have to tell you about this, the Cape Agulhas, is that, and it really amazed me, and we went to a couple of wine farms in that region.
Ooh.
And I thought to myself, wine farms? I never even knew that this place had wine farms.
Yeah.
And then apparently with the new legislation, with the new change of governments, they changed the legislation, and KWV, who used to really rule the wine industry and could dictate to who could do wine and who couldn't do wine, that opened up a whole new district of people who could actually start up making small wine farms, boutique wine farms, etc., etc. And all of the places that we visited, so we visited a place called Black Oyster Catcher, And my goodness gracious, you have to stop over there if you're driving to Hermanus, take that road and go past the Black Oyster Catcher. Stuntveld was the other one. And the type of quartz and the clay and the soil that they have there really produces some awesome wine. I bought a couple of bottles of wine there. They're mostly boutique farms, but really interesting that the part of the world is actually growing into a a new little wine route thing, which I like it. Called the Atlantic Flatland Wine Region. Yeah, and we went to a place called Nevias, which is a conservancy, like a game drive kind of thing. We mostly went for birding. I was with a couple of birders, Heather, and we spent some time with them. And we actually went and spotted like a few of the birds. The thick-billed larks we saw, and we saw kits plovers, and we saw little baby kits plovers. So it was interesting. And then they had eland, and they had wildebeest and all that kind of stuff, and it was really beautiful. And apparently that area has got 40, and I'm going to probably make a mistake if I say this, but they have 45,000 hectares of properties in the area that is protected in since 2000. So nobody can just go and take over this place. It's very much protected, and it really has like a very interesting kind of habitats and stuff like that. And of course, then we went to the little Elim, which is another interesting little story. Elim has a history of being a missionary place. They started a missionary there. And I think, and what we were told is that Elim now, not now anymore, at one stage Elim was ruled by the church. So it was a big church, and the people in town or the church would decide, they had like gates, say, we want to go visit someone in Elim. Oh, you stop at the gate. They come and see you. If you want to go and see them, then they'll say, okay, you have half an hour to go visit the person, then you got to get out.
Oh, dear.
So, yeah, I know. It was like hectic. So that's also one of the little historical towns that's been saved over a long period of time. So if you're driving on that part of the world in Elim, you definitely stop there. It's cute little whitewash houses. They made lime out of the seashells and painted the houses, and all clay houses and things like that. Lovely community. There's a few little coffee shops and stuff there. I just love that area's people. They're very chatty and conversational, and they can tell you stories and kind of thing, which is really awesome. I love that. And then, of course, we went to the Cape Agulhas. In the Cape Agulhas, you go to the most southern. That is the most southern tip of Africa, regardless of what most people think. People think that Cape Point is the most southern point, which is not. Cape Agulhas is. So that's where the Atlantic and the Indian Ocean meets. And of course, that's also where you can see the shipwreck and the lighthouse. And that lighthouse, it's not open at the moment, but that lighthouse has an extremely interesting story behind it. And I know that from my last visit there, is it was also built on the same formation as the Alexandria Lighthouse, which was in Egypt. So it's got the same kind of formation.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's really, really interesting. If you can get in there, go and see.
I'm so fascinated by lighthouses, Rose. Just tell us quickly, is that lighthouse still operational? Is it like working? Is the light on?
Fully operational. It has to work.
Yeah, great.
Because of that shipping, area there. So it has to work. That is
stunning.
That lighthouse was one of those. It had to be a very prominent lighthouse. It had to work because that is, because that area is so dangerous for ships and so on. Yeah. And then a little up the drag, of course, then is Strathspey, and then is Arniston. The last little town we actually stayed in was Arniston. And Arniston has got its own little beauty, but the favorite thing about Arniston is Cassiespy. Now, Cassiespy is one of those heritage little towns that's been saved by, the modern world, or saved from the modern world by breaking people down. So what they did is they created a heritage site there, and they said that no families are allowed to come in. Only regional families are in there, and they have a certain kind of building style, which is mostly with a stone, also with a whitewashed lime, and and that little community stays, or regional family stays within those communities as well. The interesting thing is what I've read about Kasispai is the reason where they got Kasispai the name from is the local people used to build little, from the shipwrecks. So they used to get all these planks from the shipwrecks, and what they used to do is they actually would take the planks and they would build little houses. So they would look like little kasis. So that's why it was called Kasis.
Yo, that's so interesting. Now we know. I honestly didn't know this.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's the cave there, which is always a very big attraction, the Varnhuiskrans.
Yeah.
So, interesting enough, the original name of the town of Arniston was Varnhuiskrans. And the reason why it got the name Varnhuiskrans is because it was big enough for you to be able to turn an ox wagon in it. So, if you could fit an ox wagon inside that little cave when it's low tide, you could actually turn it around. That's how big the cave is, and that's why it was called Varnhuiskrans. And then later, and then later, of course, the name changed to Arniston. And Arniston is obviously named after the shipwreck of the Arniston boat that was sailing and wrecked there. I can't remember what the date is, but that's where the name Arniston comes from. So the older generation still calls it Varnhuiskrans. That's how I got to know it, actually, funny enough. But the new generation, it's mapped as Arniston.
Yeah.
So, that's... And that whole area of where the cave is actually a Cape Nature area. And, you can really spend some time there. Don't just go to the cave. There's other beaches on the other side. There's good fishing there, beautiful reefs and beaches and other little things. The natural kind of, like I call it, the Agulhas flatland kind of habitat. It's really pretty. So, and that was the Cape Agulhas.
Yo, Rose, what a trip, eh? Can we swap jobs? Yo, that is so cool, and you learn along the way as well. I love it, man. Wow, what a trip! What a trip!
I must say one comment. Because when we arrived, and Cindy Jacobs, she's the tourism manager there, a lovely girl and really informative. It really takes her time to actually, do things and organize things. I really loved that. Whole team was really awesome. But what she did is she organized the mayor to come and say hello to us. And his PA, I think his name was a guy called Raymond. And they were like, welcome. And the mayor was like, welcome you. Are you from the Cape? I'm like, what do you mean the Cape? We're from the Garden Route. We're from paradise. And his PA turned around and he said, well, welcome to heaven.
Paradise, and now you're in heaven. Oh, okay, I love it though. Yeah. It's really nice.
And I must say that that part of the world is really a piece of heaven. So, if you have time to escape and go somewhere different, that's definitely a good place to go. It's not far from the Garden Route, obviously, not far from Cape Town, and it really is a feeling of freedom, a different kind of freedom there. So, and be kind to the community. It's a beautiful, kind community, so be kind.
Be kind, always. Well, thank you for sharing your trip with us, Rose. It's fantastic. For those who haven't seen it yet, you can see some photos on Rose's social media. Travel Bar, give us your social media details again, please.
Yes. So my social media handles are at GoTravelBug, and that will be on Twitter and on Instagram, and on Facebook you will find me as Travelbug Rose, and if you Google at GoTravelBug you will find me, and my website is www.gotravelbug.co.za.
Fantastic. Rose, thank you so much. Until next Tuesday for Travel Tuesday. It was very, very nice today. I'm glad you had a good time, and welcome back.
Thank you.